Hello and welcome to the Blue Shadow Podcast. My name is Joey, and today I am very, very excited to talk about Astro Bot. This is the latest game released from Team Asobi on the PlayStation 5, and I am very, very excited to talk about it because I thought it was absolutely wonderful. I wanted to start by touching on my thoughts going into this game, though, before we talk about the game itself, and that was that I absolutely loved Astro's Playroom. You know, the free little add-in game that was preloaded on the PlayStation. I didn't quite know what to expect. I thought it was an excellent tech showcase for what the PS5 could do, both graphically and in terms of the DualSense. And all of that together, even having replayed that a few times, left me very, very excited for this game, which had a very short turnaround time between when it was announced and when it was released, which is very exciting. You don't often see that. And another thing is that I think we need more simple 3D platformers like this. There's, the heyday, the early 2000s with other games like this. I think that having something like this present, able to buy new, more accessible and shiny and fun is absolutely necessary, and I'm so excited to have it. And that takes us to my overall thoughts on the game after playing it. And I do want to say before I start getting into this a little more, I am going to kind of spoil some of the game. So if that kind of thing bothers you, please feel free to save this, come back, and listen or watch again. But if that doesn't bother you, we'll continue. And I'll say that overall, I absolutely loved this game. It is some of the most fun that I've had playing a video game in a very, very long time. Because I typically play, more serious single-player story games, which are wonderful, but sometimes, leave you feeling a little heavy or don't necessarily place as much emphasis on, the actual, just downright fun of a video game. And this game really does that. I thought it was absolutely amazing in pretty much every way, and it really felt like the perfect next generation of games like Spyro, Jak and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot, and so on. And one thing I really loved is the game references throughout, but I'm going to touch on that a little bit more later. And we'll kind of move through talking about different aspects of the game, and I'll give you some more specifics about why I love it as we go through it. But the overall premise of the game is that you're flying in a PS5 spaceship, and this mean alien crashes it, destroys it, takes different pieces out, and it gets hidden all throughout this galaxy. And your goal is to recover these parts of your PS5 spaceship, recover your crew, and this crew consists of PlayStation character references, video game character references as well, beyond PlayStation. But, here you have your hub world where your crash ship is located, and you have to go to different nebulas, which can be different worlds, which range from full levels with, bots, puzzle pieces, and sometimes these portals to collect, as well as challenge levels, which challenge you in both combat and platforming. And one of my favorite aspects of this game is that things you collect make noticeable changes to your hub world, especially the bots. And this is something that I love in any type of game. But, as you go and collect your bots, they come back and begin to populate that crash site area. And it adds so much character to it. And it was so exciting to see and build out, and always made me excited to go back after I would play a few levels and collect more bots. And speaking of levels, I want to talk about the level design in this game. And I absolutely loved almost all the levels in this game. I thought that they were so varied, and they all offered a really unique premise and theme based around whatever the theme was. And most levels even made use of a special power-up that, helped in making each level feel even more unique, more special. And there are a lot of different variety of them, but my two favorite were ones where Astro turned into a sponge and he had to absorb water and release it to progress through the level. For example, absorb water from a pool and release it into other sponges that would raise up so he could climb on them. Or one where Astro could shrink down to a smaller size, kind of like Ant-Man, and you got to explore the world from this very unique perspective. And it was really cool to be able to toggle back and forth from shrinking and growing and have the details of the world remain the same. And the enemies that are full size, they're absolutely enormous when you shrink down. It was just very cool and very unique for a video game mechanic. And I thought all these levels were visually stunning. And much like I was saying about the use of the DualSense in the Astro's Playroom, the DualSense functionalities here were absolutely incredible. You could feel raindrops on the controller, or footsteps on a metal floor, or you could feel what it feels like walking through water or snow, and so much more. And this is something that, if you haven't played this game or Astro's Playroom, it's something you just have to experience yourself to feel it. And that's one of the reasons that I would strongly recommend this game, if for nothing else, is to just really feel how powerful the DualSense is through this game. So those are kind of our normal levels and, a little bit about me gushing out the graphics and DualSense capabilities here. But I did want to talk a second about the challenge levels. And these are where we, will go and either do a very specific set of like curated combat things. We're fighting bots fighting enemies in a given challenge area, or, doing a platforming challenge. And I had a kind of a unique relationship with these where I would either complete them in like 1 or 2 tries and it would be like super easy, or I would spend like a half hour or more trying to like overcome the same obstacles. And while it was stressful and sometimes raised my blood pressure, I still thought they were really fun and rewarding to complete. So we have our challenge levels, we have our regular levels, but at the end of each nebula, which I told you, which is a cluster of levels, there's a boss fight. And all of these were really fun and unique, and they were often more challenging than they might initially seem. And I think for most of them, I needed at least like 2 tries because you had limited health here, and they would start you at the beginning if you lost all your health. But after these fights is really where the true gems of this game were able to like really shine. And this is where after you beat these levels, you kind of move through, and then an iconic PlayStation character appears. And you'll then be taken to a fully themed level around that character, and you'll have a unique ability that's themed to that character's game. And again, if you're listening and you don't want to be spoiled, I'm going to list what they are, so please feel free to tune out if you don't want to hear about it. But if you've played it, you already know. If you're just going to gauge, see, are the games that I care about here. We've got Ape Escape, God of War, Uncharted, Loco Roco, and Horizon. I thought these were all wonderful choices, but the ones that really stood out to me because of the games that I'm most attached to are Uncharted, God of War, and Horizon. But I do have to say that the Loco Roco one was really surprising in that it was chosen in the first place, and it was probably the most unique of them and really, really did feel like the original game. But for me, the one that I really want to spend a second focusing on is Uncharted. It's my favorite game series ever. And being able to go through this level, hearing a remixed version of the main theme, collecting the themed bots of my favorite characters from Uncharted, and then, getting their little abilities in the hub world, which we'll talk about in a second, was just so rewarding. And, the gameplay, having, the shooting mechanism kind of feel like Uncharted with the over-the-shoulder look, it just was so special. And it's especially, powerful for me because we've not had a new Uncharted game in quite a while. So having it here really was special and so enjoyable for me. I was so excited. I wasn't sure they were going to do it. I was like, I haven't gotten Nathan Drake yet. I'm a little worried. But it was very wonderful. And again, God of War, Horizon, they all were fantastic. This leads me now onto the topic, though, of, I talked about how we haven't seen Uncharted for a long time. There are a lot of things in this game that we haven't seen even way longer than that. And that's because one of the most fun aspects of this game was collecting the bots that are themed after these iconic video game characters. And while it was great to see who you'd expect, like Nathan Drake, Kratos, Aloy, Joel and Ellie, who were not featured as much as I would like, and so on, it was almost more exciting to see some deeper cuts. I particularly want to, point out that my wife is an absolutely enormous Jak and Daxter fan, and seeing them in this game, in a brand new game, was like very special for her. For me, I loved the Infamous games, and those games have been kind of not around for a while. And seeing those characters, especially like Fetch, who's a kind of a niche character from the most recent Infamous game, Second Son, and the DLC, it just was very heartwarming to see these characters who, have an important place in my mind, but don't necessarily seem like they always resonate with other people. But I think, like you as well, listening, can probably resonate with, a minor character like that, or your favorite character that's a little more iconic. I think that's one of the absolute powers of this game, is that it's going to be able to, simultaneously move forward as a new video game that you'll one day feel nostalgic about, while also honoring the games that came before it and really, pulling on your attachment to them. And they really do honor each of the bots, the games that are references with these bots. And each of them has like an item that can be randomly purchased from a little, claw machine kind of thing. And they hold a deeper reference to their source games. And an example of this is one of my favorite deeper cuts in the game, where I had collected the bot referencing Kena Bridge of Spirits, which is one of my favorite games in recent years. And you get the little small rock characters. So when you walk up to her in the hub world and you hit her, the rock characters come, tumbling out like they do in the game. And it was just something that I wasn't expecting. And, it really did pay tribute to the game that it came from. There is one minor little complaint that I have with this, though, is that some notable ones are missing. For example, for me personally, Sly Cooper not having, his crew with him, like Bentley wasn't in it, but even though Sly was. And not having things that I think were more like had to do with licensing, like there not being Spider-Man and Miles Morales or any characters from Final Fantasy, whether it be Cloud and the party from Final Fantasy VII or Clive and Jill and Joshua from Final Fantasy 16. It did feel like they were missing because they are, in fact, part of that PlayStation family. But, they could be added later. It could just be something that you kind of have to deal with, but it is one thing to consider. And, just kind of wrapping it up, I wanted to say that I, if you couldn't tell, absolutely, absolutely love this game and would recommend it to anyone of any age. It's so cool, cute, and just downright fun in a way that a lot of games aren't these days. And I think it really does hold its own merit as a platformer game. And your enjoyment will be based in that. But it'll only be strengthened by the addition of having these references to other games that you care about be there. It really is a powerful game that I was just not expecting a game that doesn't have dialogue to be able to tug at my heartstrings and kind of teach lessons of like teamwork and serving and helping others. It seems kind of silly to say that a game without dialogue is able to do that, but it really does. And, we don't really do numerical scores with, reviews here. It's more of like a discussion, just sharing what we like about it. But I really cannot praise this game enough. And I hope that if you were on the fence about playing it, that you 100% choose to, or if you have already played it, that you enjoyed it as much as I did. And, we really do enjoy hearing your thoughts. So if you have played this game, we want to know, who was your favorite reference? What is your favorite, aspect of the bots where if you punch them, they do something? What was your favorite reference in that respect? Did you have a favorite level that you really liked or a favorite power-up? We want to hear it. If there's anything else that we didn't mention that we want to talk about, like, for example, when you find the portals, you have to be transported to them and you can't finish the level that you're in. A little frustrating, but who cares, because this game is absolutely fantastic. Let us know. We want to hear it. But with that, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your time. Consider giving us a subscription on the podcast platform of your choice or on YouTube, and consider giving us a follow on Twitter or X at Blue Shadow Pod or on Instagram at Blue Shadow Podcast. With that, we thank you so much for your time. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next time.